In this segment, we're going to show you how to record time slips, case notes, and expenses for your cases. The very first thing we must do is focus on the case that you want to actually record those time slips and expenses for. I have already filtered out the cases that I want to see, and I'm looking specifically at this Barney Rubble case. Well, what I got to do now next is go to the actions column on that same row and click on work cases, and the screen that next will pop up is the activity screen, the time notes, the case notes. This is where you're recording the work that you're doing normally. So I do want to point out before we go any further that you have the ability to filter your time slips and case notes screens with the upper side of this particular screen. This is not unlike the case screen and other screens you've seen in the past, so it works very much similar to that. But let's get back to adding a time slip and case note. Well, there's a button here that says new time slip and case notes. We're going to click on that, and then we are going to record that information that we want to deal with. Now, we're doing this case on Barney Rubble, so maybe we want to do a background on Barney Rubble before we go actually do the surveillance. So I'm going to click this activities type, and I'm going to select R and take it down to research activities. Now, I do want to point out right now very quickly that the first thing that popped up was interviews. That was because that was defined as default. You can tell the program what the number one things that you do when you record time slips, and it will pop up there as that type every time. So let's record the start and end time of the activity. Let's say that we did an hour's worth of work doing this search. So we put to 7:33. So now we have an hour's worth of work ready to record against that client. Now, what we want to do is put stuff into this work product area right here. Any information you put in this particular box will not show up on the invoice. It will, however, show up on investigative reports as you pull them out. So just be aware that there are two boxes here. So what I would put here in the work product case notes is the actual dirt of what you found. In this case, we're doing research. You pick out your favorite database provider. You can cut and paste that information there, or you can synopsize whatever you found. So I'm just going to type stuff in here. So I found some following stuff, and then I would detail whatever I found. Type as much as you want. There's not a limitation here. Next thing you want to do, if this is totally optional, is get into here the invoice notes. Now, whatever you put in the invoice notes is going to show up onto the invoice. So you don't want to. You may not want to put some very gritty details here, but maybe that you did data search. So maybe we just say we did data search, and that's all we're going to say. And with this, we can also record expenses. So I click on the expenses tab, and you have a myriad of expenses that you can record with this. We are going to tell the program we're going to do a database search, and it automatically has populated what your cost is, what the client's cost is going to be, and that's basically all you have to do at this point. You could add additional expenses if you wanted to, but we're not going to at this juncture. So I'm going to click the Save button. Just for the sheer fact I'm done with this. I've recorded my time slip, I've got the case note in there, and I have recorded expenses. So now we're coming back to the time slip screen, and here we see in fact that we have recorded this information, and we see this clearly on the screen. So let's say that we actually go out and do the surveillance, and you come back to the office, or maybe you're online and you start the surveillance online with a timer here. So we're going to add a new time slip and a case note. And let's say we're going to do the actual surveillance. And I've got it plugged in right there. Now, instead of typing in the date and time here, I instead want to tell the program how many hours I worked on this case. So I'm going to tell the program I want to do a manual override, and I'm going to tell the program that how many hours worth of surveillance I did. Let's say that we did 7.5 hours. Or in this case, it said 70. That would be a good payday. Let's make that 7. And so now we've got that taken care of, 7 hours worth of work. We have some expenses that goes along with this. Maybe we want to charge them for mileage. So you click on mileage charge. It automatically populates your rate in there, what the client's rate is. All you got to do is tell the program how many miles you drove. But we're not through yet because we want to go back to our case notes itself and record information that would potentially appear on investigative report and or the invoice. So once again, in the work product case notes, you're going to type the details. Maybe at 0900 arrived on station. And then maybe at 10 o'clock, you had a coffee break. And then at 11 o'clock, you had lunch break. I think you get the idea. You basically record whatever is necessary for your surveillances. So now this is the work product, but now if we want anything to show up on the invoice notes, once again, this is totally optional, we would type in something like followed suspect or target, whatever you want to call it. So we've done all that information. Now all we got to do is simply hit the save button, and we now have saved this time slip and the expenses associated. Now we have 2 time slips that have been created. This is really all you need to do. But let's say, for example, that you forgot to add some expenses on this particular day. Well, you can reach over and hit the expense button, and then you can add additional expenses on this case by simply hit the new expense button and select whatever it is that you want to deal with. Let's say that I did a copy charge of papers, and I want to charge them 95 cents. So it's populating whatever rates that you have. We tell the program how many that you did, and we also put in here anything that we want to clarify to the client of what we did. This is simply all you have to do to record time slips and expenses in CaseWorks. And at this juncture, you could just keep recording as much as you need, and then you'll be ready to invoice and create investigative reports later on at your leisure.